don't get a half-hour break from the revolution.
Man, it's coming fast. It said life comes at you fast, and then you get hit by a Mack truck.
Yeah. I
feel
like it's just Mack trucks right now.
Nothing but Mack trucks. Welcome back, everybody. This is our weekly tap in with the Math for the People Nation, and we're so glad to have you all here. Certainly, we are overwhelmed with every new day. We have a blessing of another day to experience, but man, these days are filled with twists and turns. The revolution is in full-blown mode, and all of us are trying to get in where we fit in. But we still have a pandemic that is ravaging parts of the country, and that's what makes Math for the People still a very important thing for us to respond to. So please keep giving, livefreeusa.org. Please keep giving and help us get masks and PPE out for the people. We're doing amazing work all across the country, Kamau, and just want to, again, appreciate you for all the way that we've been just rocking. And you are like the greatest ambassador of all time.
I was just on Kelly Clarkson today. So once again, I'm a white talk show host, black friend during the revolution. So I do what I can.
We're going to start calling you the white talk show host whisperer. I guess you be getting them right. You be getting them right. And that's what's up. But everybody needs some folks to help coach them through this moment and through this season. So we're super excited to have all of you here. We're going to do a couple updates throughout the show, but I thought it'd be great. You haven't seen this yet, Kamau, but I thought it'd be great for all of you to see the impact that you have been having across the country through your donations, through all the work that we've been doing. Throw up that screen and just take a quick look at this. This is amazing impact all across the country, where you are seeing where our Math for the People footprint is. And I hope you can see that real good on the screen, but we are up to now over 800,000 masks have hit the ground. We have handed out over 94,000 bottles of sanitizer. That's over 500,000 ounces of sanitizer. And as you can see, this stuff is in all kinds of states, California, Texas, and I don't want to flunk my geography class to hit all.
We got Louisiana, we got Mississippi, we got Alabama, we got Georgia, we got Florida, we got Illinois, Wisconsin, Ohio, Michigan, and then some of those are kind of tiny. So I'm sure.
I know that's Philadelphia or Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey. I think we have been able to hit many places all across the country, and so we just want to appreciate all of you for your generosity and helping us really make this function and make this happen. We're hearing from our donor support teams that every time we have one of these sessions, our giving spikes. Folks donate, folks give $10, $50, $100. And so we just want to keep encouraging you. Please keep giving. This keeps allowing us to secure more PPE to get on the ground. Some of the most recent numbers we've seen is that the number of infections are still climbing up through the roof. Some of that is because people are being tested more than frequently before. But I think the most recent numbers say that we may have about 200,000 people succumbing to this illness by the end of August if we do not practice social distancing and keep the PPE available and coming to folks in our jails, prisons, and our outreach workers, our essential workers. So all that to say, your support is greatly needed. Please keep giving. Please keep donating. You are helping us save a whole lot of lives. And
it's amazing that, there sort of feels like there's conflicting messages. Get out in the streets and fight for democracy, but also socially distance. And I know for a lot of people, it feels like, is it either or? No, it's both and. So, you're out in the streets, keep your mask on if you need to be out there. And if you have other work you can do that's not in the streets, you can do that work from home. But just if you're out there fighting for justice, please, we try to make sure we want to get you a mask.
Yes. And we are also making sure that we're shipping these masks to a lot of our ground zero protests across the country. It's worth noting that we have 50 cities 50 states are all protesting now. I think they said 7 countries. I was on a call with our Black Lives Matter comrades earlier today. I don't think we can get to the 7 countries, but we can try to hit as many of these cities as possible and get this stuff out there.
A lot of those countries won't let Americans come in right now.
I know, right? Yeah. Matter of fact, we were talking with some comrades today about trying to go to the Geneva Convention, to the UN, because they're actually taking up a resolution we hear this week on Wednesday to try and amplify the issue of law enforcement killings of Black folks in this country. I think 47 African nations, God bless the mother continent, they are bringing our issues to the Geneva Convention. So a number of us were going to go fly out to bear witness, and we found out that Switzerland is not allowing Americans to come into their country.
Switzerland is normally on the fence about those things. It's keeping Americans on the other side of the fence right now. And
yeah, we grounded. But be that as it may, we're gonna carry on and keep doing what we're called to do. We got a great program here tonight. We have some amazing folks that are going to be here hanging out with us. Sister Kayron Kendrick, Brother Matthew Day, Eton Thomas, and our comrade who turns up the streets every day here in the Bay, the great Cap Brooks, are going to be hanging out with us to talk through all the goings on. So let's bring Sister Kayron into the building, into the room. We're so glad to have her with us. And look at there. Come on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh, wow. Welcome. Let me give you your proper introduction, because, I want to make sure you get all your accolades, I want to make sure that everybody knows. So currently hailed for her powerfully nuanced portrayal of Minnie McMillan in the newly released Just Mercy, Kayron Kendrick is among the artistic elite. Additional credits range from The Hunger Games, Hidden Figures, dramas like the October 2018 feature The Hate U Give, which was on TV, Grey's Anatomy, regional theater, and all kinds of other credits to her name, include the 2019 feature comedy Family, season 4 of CW's The Originals, and Greenleaf. And just an amazing actress, and we're so blessed and glad to have you. So welcome to Mass for the People.
Thank you so much. Thanks. I'm glad to be here. And thank you guys for all the incredible work you're doing, even in the midst. That's amazing. You're affecting so many lives in such a wonderful way. So thank you.
And I just want to say, I used to have a podcast called Denzel Washington is the Greatest Actor of All Time, period, with my friend Kevin Avery. And one of the things we talked about that podcast is there's nothing that should be more celebrated than these three words: working Black actress.
That part.
Like, not gets one role you don't see again, but a Black actress who keeps working is like, whoo, that's to be celebrated. So
that's such a gift, and it's such a wonderful opportunity to continue not just working, but to continue to affect people with storytelling, which is really what I am. One of the things I love most about the work that I get to do. When you look at pieces like Just Mercy and pieces like The Hate U Give, these are not just acting jobs. Mm-hmm. These are the beginnings of revolutions, I believe, in themselves, in that it allows people to enter into a space and journey with someone whose experience that they may not understand, to go into a quiet space and spend time learning about somebody else's life. And as an actor, it challenges me to love someone like the character Aisha that I played in The Hate U Give, and embrace and love and honor her and her journey and her story, just as I would Minnie McMillan in Just Mercy, because we can't really say that one is better than the other, or one is more worthy than the other, or we have to honor this person's journey and not this one. And I think that's where we are as a nation. We're having that conversation that your birth equals your worth. You are worthy because you are worthy, not because of whatever school you went to, or not the way you speak, or not the car you drive, or the house you live in, or the neighborhood. None of those is your humanity. And so through the work, I think that's what we try to show. And I'm honored to be a part of stories that do, and here is their story.
Yes.
Oh no, did we freeze?
Yeah, I think we're freezing up a little bit. I think we lost you, but I think we got you back. I heard everything you're saying. It was just a little bit delayed. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I think we lost him now.
Yeah. Oh no. I wonder what's going on with our tech. But you know what? One of the things that I've been loving about the way in which you're showing up is you are indeed using, as you stated, stories of everyday people to open up spaces for that empathy in this moment where the revolution is literally like descended upon us. Can you just talk a little bit about the importance of that kind of empathy, particularly across people's different and varied experiences? What are you experiencing? How are you being pushed or expanded, or our minds being widened by the way people are showing up in this moment?
I think one of the great things about this part of the journey is that we are forced to reckon with humanity. We are forced to understand that every single person, like, let me give you this example. I don't know a Black man who does not have someone standing to love him. I don't know a Black woman, a Black child who does not have someone standing ready to love them, who walks with them and who loves them. And there's something about how we have been perceived. We're not fully human. We are not community. We don't have people. We are not people. And so impactful is that we are having to show up in our neighborhood for about 5 years morning. And it was in that moment of happening since I've been here. And since as a human being, me in a way that I wasn't even really expecting. I think that what we are discovering is that this hatred, this fear, this brutality, this trauma, it's a heart issue. Yes, we need reform that begins on the outside and that mandates that we acknowledge each other's humanity and that there's accountability when we don't do that. But we also have to work from the inside out. People have to begin to understand that we are people. And the idea that you should not kill Black men in the street, that you should not kill Black women in the street, that seeing those things, you should not kill Black children in the street, and that seeing those things is traumatic to us, that shouldn't be a radical idea.
Right.
And so requesting equity in treatment should not be a revolutionary thought, but here we are.
Here we are.
You know, right now there's a lot of like push on these streaming platforms to sort of highlight Black movies, and I feel like I see your movies as all in these highlights. Is there anything for you that feels strange about your work being highlighted in this moment and not just every day? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was at, you guys should have won this award. Moment that maybe, just maybe, this award and awards are wonderful and I was with, but I think also this is work that changes lives in a different way. And so I am grateful for the opportunity to be a part of telling these stories and telling them in the way that they were told. And it's a reminder for me as an actress, because this is who I've always been. I remember in third grade, having the same conversations that I'm having right now. And so this has always been a part of my reality. And it's just a reminder to me that God is the greatest agent. He is orchestrating this whole thing. And I am honored to serve in this space, in this way, this time.
Some of the challenges of this moment have been bringing to the forefront the unique ways that Black women are being impacted by violence. And I was deeply moved this morning to wake up to this young activist, Toyin, who was found dead this morning after being at a Black Lives Matter rally. And I just wonder, I know that you are talking a lot about the ways in which we have to work on our hearts and our empathy. I'd love to just hear your perspective on just how can we support Black women more in this moment, because it pains me as a man, Black man, husband, father of two beautiful Black girls. I want this world to be so much better for Black girls and Black women, Black trans women who are finding themselves being mutilated and terribly made vulnerable. So what would you say to our listeners and to us? Help us as Black men. We got to do our own work, I know, but I always want to hear from the sisters. How can we love and be better supportive and make sure that we're not leaving you all vulnerable in this terrible, terribly violent world?
Yeah, the way that I see it working best in my life is I unequivocally expect from Black men is a covering. There is a responsibility to stand where we cannot stand and say what we cannot say. Yes, as a Black woman, I am strong and I am capable, but honey, I'm also tired. Like, has to be a measure of grace, and there has to be a space where we can take a step back, even in our loving you and our supporting you, to make sure we're okay. Know that seeing the sons of a Black woman killed in the street is traumatic for us too. It hurts our hearts. And so however you define support, however you define covering, however you define showing up, and showing up has been a question that I've heard across the board, right? From Black, white, male, female, how can I show up? How can I do this? And my response is the same. You are brilliant, and any information that you need is present. Do the work, have the conversations, because showing up for me, maybe I'll have the conversations and then be about it.
Yeah.
It's okay, if I do this, and this level of engagement that we have to maintain.
Well, Karen, we're having some freezing and technical difficulties, so I think we're gonna cut it a little short on this time, and maybe see if we can bring you back either a little later in the time, or get you back on another time, because I just want everybody to be able to hear and experience your brilliance. I'm so sorry that we can't get a clear connection on this one, but I appreciate you at least coming through and hanging out with us for a few moments. So maybe hang out in the green room. Let's see if we can get your internet a little stronger, or else we'll bring you back next time your schedule allows us to. Is that good? All right, Karen.
Sounds
Karen
great.
Kendrick,
Thank
everyone.
you guys.
Yes. Karen Kendrick, everyone. We Man, so sorry we had those technical delays. Is your line okay? Come out because you dropped out there for a second too.
Yeah, I thought it was mine, so I switched to a different Wi-Fi. But I'm here. I can hear you. You can hear me.
Oh yeah, I can hear you now. I was told before I left my house that all kinds of phone systems are down right now. I guess they may have said there may be a cyber attack or something. Did you hear that? Or I thought someone was.
I hadn't heard that, but I've been trying to call somebody today and I couldn't get through. And finally, I texted them and said, "Call me," and they got through. So I don't know if it's because a lot of people are using the Wi-Fi and a lot of the connections are being overwhelmed right now with everybody uploading and getting on social media and calling people, or like something else. But certainly things are it's we're stressing the system right now.
Yes. Well, let's see if our next guest can have some better luck on this tech stuff. While you're hanging out with us, everyone, please go to liveforusa.org and donate. Spread the word, spread this stream. We are excited about all the many ways that we are literally saving lives all across the country. Mass for the People. Literally, we've raised over $1.4 million. Your gratitude, your generosity, your commitment is literally helping us save lives. So please keep giving, please keep sharing, and let's keep making a profound impact. We're getting ready to bring Matthew Day to the program, all the way from the Bay, from the Yay area. Matt Day, you in the building?
Yeah. Hey, how are you guys?
All right. How you doing?
I'm well, man. I can't complain. I mean, the world is changing.
It's
the world is changing.
The world is changing, and our ability to complain has been muted by what's going on in the world. So on a normal day, maybe you'd have complaints, but right now, no.
Yeah, I'm kicking back and taking everything in and trying to grow along with it and become a better human being as the world changes,
Well, let me give you your rightful introduction, because you got quite a lengthy bio here, and I want everybody to know who you are. Born and raised in a small underserviced city just outside San Francisco. They call it, I heard, the Crescent, the Vallejo, huh? You from
Vallejo, California? Yeah.
Matt developed a strong sense of self through his love for freestyle dance and served as a safe space from the violence in the community. He's worked with artists such as Beyonce, Mariah Carey, Kendrick Lamar, and has been working and touring with J-Lo for the past 5 years, which culminated with the halftime show at Super Bowl 54 in Miami, where our 49ers just broke our hearts, bro. Man, I'm still recovering from that joint.
Oh man, I was so upset. Oh, it was an amazing day, but man, was I upset.
I was there, bro. I was sitting in the end zone. I watched the pass from Garoppolo fall right through Sanders' hands, and I was thinking, God must have me at this Super Bowl so I can see the game-winning Super Bowl right now. I was just believing the whole time that God was hooking me up, and
dun.
Oh, I felt so crushed. But anyhow, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for having me, man. This is amazing. I'm so grateful to be here.
Yes, it's a lot of Bay Area love on this call and even on the show tonight. Now a lot of us are certainly dealing with all the many ways that this season is impacting our lives. We say the revolution is here, and it seems to have some sticking power, some staying power. Talk a little bit about growing up in the Bay. I mean, a lot of us that are from here, me, you, Kamau, I mean, we all call this home right now. We're kind of in the thick of just a lot of activism. How are you processing and experiencing this as someone who's from here?
Man, I live out here in LA, and LA is very different than Northern California, and growing up in the Bay Area, it's preached to us to fight for what we believe in. You don't grow up thinking, okay, let me listen to what somebody says and take that as law. You grow up, listen to what they say, then you sift through it and you figure out how you feel about it and what you want to do about it. You question everything that's ever been given to you. Out here in LA, people just take whatever's given to them and they run, So it's very different being here. And I see a lot of people going out and being a part of the change. Unfortunately, when I sit down and have conversations, I don't feel the same level of passion that I do when I'm back home. You know, I feel like people back home have a certain level of passion. I think that with all of us, I mean, I don't know about your guys' families, but for the most part, all of our families come from the South. Back in the blues era, they moved to the Bay Area, and everybody's grandmother's from the South, and we're very Southern rooted. So this means something much more than just police reform. This is a change of the tides. This is finally our time to be able to be ourselves. Finally, our time to be able to step forward and build properly and correctly. You know. So, I mean, being from a place like Vallejo, being from a place like, because I grew up in Fairfield, I was born in Vallejo, and being from a place like that, it really taught me a level of bite down. It taught me a level of push through when it comes to struggle. You watch people go through tragedy over and over and over and over. I buried 12 friends before I graduated high school, and that was normal. You know what I mean? That's a problem that's normal, you know? You watch your friends pass away. You hear about people being killed by the police, car accidents, overdoses, and it's like, how do you pull yourself out of that? How do you grab your bootstraps and pull yourself up if you don't have any boots in the first place? You know, and I think a lot of us from back home understand that. So we just continue to push and continue to push, and I think finally we're seeing other people recognize the push we've been doing our whole life.
Yeah.
And I would imagine, talk about that sort of that Vallejo life is separate from a lot of people when they think the Bay Area, they think San Francisco and Oakland. And you know, Eddie, and you know, you grew up in Fairfield, you said?
Yes.
I mean, that's really like not the same Bay as San Francisco and Oakland. And, you know.
It's the outskirts, no doubt. Yeah, I'm an I-80 baby, outskirts boy. You know, it's very different. Oakland is very like Oakland, you know. San Francisco is very San Francisco. I know growing up, when it came to the city, I was like, you know what? Certain parts I'm not really trying to go. You know, Oakland I might move through a little bit easier, but the city, I'm cool. You know, but living out in Fairfield. Go ahead.
It's worth saying though, Vallejo was not a walk in the park. I mean, you know. The Crescents and all. I mean, like, you know, E4. I mean, there was some parts where, you know, I used to ride through Vallejo and I had to keep my head on the swivel. I'm from the city, and so you know, it's not like a walk in the park. And so you know, one of the things that I've realized is, you know, it seems like Black people, no matter where we live, we find ourselves touched by the issue of violence in just a terrible way. And so for you to say you lost a lot of friends. I'm sure you heard of this most recent case with Sean being killed. I don't know if you know about that case, but what does it feel like to see a young brother have his life just snuffed away? Vallejo is one of the most violent police killing cities in the country. People don't know that.
I mean, it's been going on forever. You know, it's unfortunate. Does it surprise me? No, and that's unfortunate. You know, I'm tired of not being surprised at these things. I'm tired that it takes so much killing for people to finally say, you know what, maybe Black people do matter. Maybe these lives do matter. Why do we have to die at such an alarming rate? And this young man's not Black. It's just another police shooting because they do not care. You know, in Vallejo, I do not believe they care. We can take it back to 2012. I had a buddy of mine named Papaya. He got shot 32 times by the polilis because he had a pellet gun in his backseat. You know, 32 times for a pellet gun, and that's in Vallejo. And then we talk about Willie McCoy, and he got shot 55 times by the police when he was sleeping in his car. That's a problem. The police literally came up, saw the gun in his lap. The clip was out of his lap. He was asleep, and they shot him 55 times. This is nothing new in Vallejo. It is something. It's they're hunting people. It's not police brutality at this point. It's let's get some people that are not from here or some people that are not used to this environment. Let's put them in this underserved community and let's have them hunt. Because that's really what it is. Let's hunt. You mean to tell me that somebody can have a hammer in his pants and he's looting and you can shoot him from your car, and then it takes 38 and a half hours for you to put out the proper verbiage when it comes to the report? 38 and a half hours? So his family has to sit and wait for 38 and a half hours. There's a problem with that, if you ask me. And I would be surprised if anybody can agree to anything different than that. You know what I mean? Like, if you think that that's okay, that's a problem, and you got to check yourself on the inside. You know, this is he has a family, he has a little sister, he has a mom, he has friends, he had a whole life to live, and it was cut down, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, Kamau, we've been hearing these stories, man. It's just pouring in all over the place, and you just kind of make you wonder, is this, we know it's not new, but you just wonder, man, like what is it going to take for this stuff to end, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I think one thing is we don't hear enough about the stories outside of major cities.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's one thing, is we certainly, as a country, are biased towards major cities. And then the stories of police violence are usually about, like right now we're hearing about Rayshard Brooks. It's Atlanta. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we're hearing about it, because it's Atlanta. And I think that there's got to be more work stories outside of the major cities, because I think a lot of people still, you know, I've been on social media a lot this weekend, a lot this century, I guess. A lot of people are still sort of counting it as if it's just one person here, one person here. It's a big deal. You know, we're not really, there's so many stories that even those of us doing the work don't know, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, Vallejo has almost 20 killings by the police in a decade, almost 20 in a decade. Vallejo only has like 5 exits. You know what I mean? It is a small city, and it has almost 20 police killings in a decade.
Right. I mean, your experience has allowed you, or your talent has allowed you to really channel, I guess, all of that, you know, frustration, rage, or pain, or trauma, and I'm sure that's why you get down so hard when you're dancing and performing. It's a way for you probably just to, on behalf of the comrades that you've lost, to live life to the fullest. Talk about your art, and talk about how that's helping you to redefine the way young men, or even older men for that matter, think about manhood and masculinity and healthy living. You got a few words to say about that?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, I grew up in a fatherless household. He was strung out on drugs, in and out of jail, like a lot of our fathers were. He went to Vietnam and got hooked there, you know. And I never held it against him. That's my father. You know, I love that man to death. And number one, I think that's point one about redefining masculinity. Looking at the man that made you, and no matter what mistakes he might have, you have to accept that man for who he is, you know, because he is still your father. And when it comes to the art factor, it's an expressive outlet. We have so much trauma that happens, and we don't go to therapists. We just go to our homeboys that are going through the same thing, and we talk about the same thing, and they're going through it too. So their advice is no better than what we can give them, you know? Right. So finding that expressive outlet, whether it be dance or poetry or rapping, if that's the case, whatever the case may be, find an art form, figure out how to take all of these emotions that you have, all of these unsure feelings that you have, channel it into something, and be 1000% yourself within it. You know, when you turn towards art, you have the ability to magnify yourself so large. And stepping on stage, man, I'll never forget Wembley Stadium. Stepping on stage in front of 89,000 people and having all of them scream, and you walk out onto that stage. That's love. You're receiving love. And for me, a lot of it was the first time. You step out onto a stage, and that's the first time I received love from people. Because growing up, you're always looking over your shoulder. You're walking down the street, and you don't know who might be around the corner or who might be here. So you want to make sure that you're always safe. You're always thinking, always looking, always thinking. So for the first time, you get to just receive love, and you get to perform, and you get to express. I think art and creativity really allows somebody to dig into themselves and figure out who they want to be, instead of holding on to the shackles of what society tells us we have to be, or what our family tells us we have to be, or what our past tells us we should be. And I think that being able to deshackle yourself through art can really help you redefine your idea of masculinity for self, because everybody's idea of masculinity should be different. You know, it should not be one size fits all.
Wow, that's so powerful, bro. That's powerful. I appreciate your voice and your experience and all these things. Has COVID impacted you or your family or folks that you know or love at all, or you've been able to kind of just navigate through like the rest of us, trying to make sure our families and loved ones stay safe?
I've been able to navigate through and try to make sure that my family stays safe. The only person I'm really worried about is my father. He lives out in San Francisco and he works at a homeless shelter. And when that stuff started going real bad with the protest, that's when I really got worried because he's a chef. So he cooks at the homeless shelter. So he has to walk up and down the street with his knives. But he's a 65-year-old Black man that's been to jail multiple times and has a horrible record. So him walking down the street with a bucket of knives, it scares me, you know? And on top of that, him being a 65-year-old Black man with COVID or with COVID out there, it scares me because we are more susceptible to pass away from this disease. And he's really the one that is on my heart the most. Like, Pop, be safe. Pop, be safe. Pop, be safe. But you know, he keeps his nose down and his grind high.
Yeah, it kind of sound like one of those essential workers out there we started this campaign for, huh?
Yeah,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. Like I thank you guys for doing this, because without people doing the work, those that don't have a voice will never be fed, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
I have a question that I have to ask that is somewhat off topic, but I feel like I have to ask this anyway because that's how my brain works. So prepare for an off topic question.
Let's go.
Was it frustrating at all to be dancing at the Super Bowl, knowing that everybody was looking at J-Lo?
You know, it's all right.
I mean, because everybody's like,
I think what it is it she's the center of attention for that show. Yeah. So all the love that's coming towards that stage is towards her, and I'm just a supporting act. But when you stand in the shadow of somebody who's getting that much love, you either take it upon yourself to step up and choose that for your lifestyle as well and go out there and be able to have a platform for yourself, or you stay in the shadow forever. And for me, it's more inspiring than anything else. For me to be able to just feel the overflow of love that comes towards her, it just allows me to dream bigger and want to have a bigger platform. That way I can change more lives and receive more love, you know?
I think that's a big deal to be able to be in that situation, especially something as big as the Super Bowl, and just sort of, as they say, play your position and not do that thing. Sometimes my wife's is a dancer, modern dancer, contemporary dancer. Mm-hmm. And so I've watched dance in a different way now. And sometimes I feel like you can see people who are sort of in the backup role, sort of looking like, hey, don't forget about this one over here, in a way that is not supportive of the person who's the number one. So,
yeah, I mean, yeah. It is, you know, but we are the supporting act. I'm not getting paid like she getting paid. I'm getting paid a fraction of what she's getting paid. So, you know, I play my role and stay in line, you know?
Well, it all adds up to an amazing experience. And hopefully next year, you know, the 49ers will go back and we'll be back in the stadium cheering our Niners on, and we'll have a better outcome next year.
Hopefully, I hope. I need another ring.
Me too. We got the quest for 6 going on big time.
Come on.
All right, Matt Day from Vallejo, California. Thank you so much for coming on through here, man. And if there's any activism that you're doing around Sean's case or want to get plugged in at all, I know that our next guest coming in a few minutes later, Sister Cat Brooks has been working with the Comrades in Vallejo big time, and so I'll make sure we perhaps get y'all connected, because as a Vallejo boy, I'm sure they would love to have your person involved to help bring more justice.
Most definitely.
All right, everybody, follow this good brother, and let's keep showing the Bay Area, area, all that love. Thanks again. Stay easy. All right. Well, W. Kamau Bell, here we are, man. We are halfway through the show, and we got a lot of focus on every single topic has been happening around police violence, and it's very telling that this is just on everybody's mind. It's a part of everybody's experience. It's not, you know, disconnected from anyone's particular headspace right now. I mean, it's just overwhelming our senses.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every time if I step away from social media, when I go back, there's just something else has happened. You know, it's it feels like some of it is Black folks being killed by police, and then some of it is just under the category of white nonsense. I don't know if you saw those videos that I think her name's Lisa in San Francisco who told the man to stop planting Black Lives Matter because she knew who lived in that residence, and she didn't think it was nice, even though she supported the message.
Yes, man. It's like with friends like that, you don't need no enemies, huh? With allies like that, you don't need no adversaries, right? Well, yeah. I think Karen has a better connection. We're gonna bring her in just for a few minutes. I really wanted her to get a chance to give us some of that Black girl magic, Black woman magic insight on how we can support Black women as we're going through this season. Oh, now that is a clear picture.
Is that better?
Oh my goodness! I feel like I really got to meet you again.
Now we're in high def.
Yes, we got high def Wi-Fi. I need your Wi-Fi. Who tell me that secret later? No, but thanks for hanging here with us. I want to make sure we at least give you a few moments to just give us another chance to hear your voice, particularly because I think this is so important with all the many ways that Black women are finding their lives impacted by violence, and the many ways that we as men and as society can come along and support Black women. You being an actor, you being someone with wonderful profile and life lessons. What is your wisdom to us? How can we support Black women and girls in this moment?
I think that the first thing is to truly engage. I don't think there's a checklist on support. What works for everybody has a different experience, so everybody's going to have a different response and a different set of needs. And so take the time to actually engage, to actually listen, to actually ask the questions. What I appreciate is a covering. I love Black men. I support Black men. And I go hard in the paint for anyone that I love and support. Also, I am human. And sometimes I get tired, brothers. I need to take a moment. I need to step back. Yeah. And so hold space for me while I'm supporting you and loving you. Hold space for me. Cover me when I need a moment. And I think as Black women, one of the things I wanted to do with Minnie McMillan, who played with that role, I played the wife of Walter D in Just Mercy, played by the incomparable Jamie Foxx.
Yeah. And I want you to say word. What was it like working with Jamie? Because I hear he's a riot. But
Jamie is amazing. Jamie is amazing. But I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna get to that. But what I wanted to say was one of the things that I wanted to do was destroy this strong Black woman myth. This whole like I'm only gonna be strong. This woman is strong, yes, and capable, but she's also terrified. She's also traumatized. She's also trying to take care of her children, and she is hurting and healing at the same time. So allow us to be human in this moment as well. Allow us to figure it out and show up in the best way that we possibly can, and trust that that's what we're doing.
That's so rich. That's so rich. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Jamie Foxx for president. Jamie is amazing. He's been doing this, for so long and doing it well for so long that he not only was able to show up as a leader and, do incredible work, but when the director yelled cut, when the camera was off, he still showed up for us, for every single person on that set. Whether it was a story that he shared about his life experience, his work experience, whether it was music that helped us to ease into and or out of those courtroom scenes that were very heavy and very real. Seeing him in connection with Michael B. Jordan is also just a prince among men. I cannot say enough about the both of them. But to see him in relation to Michael, to see how he stood for this young brother in this space. It was incredible. If there is a playbook, if there is a blueprint, they have it and they did it well.
Woo. Well, I gotta say, I mean, your work, your discography, if I could say that, is that the right word?
My filmography. You can say whatever you want to say it. My working actress-ography. I love how you stated in the beginning.
Working Black actress. Nothing more sacred.
Yes, that part.
your roles have been amazing, and they do effectively both humanize and like you said, you know, whether it's the role you played in Hate to Give or the role you played in Just Mercy, giving folks the spectrum of experiences of Black women is so important for that empathetic capacity that we have to have towards Black women. I don't want to be one of those folks who is perpetuating, as Dr. Shaniqua Walker Barnes, she was a colleague of mine at Duke. She wrote a book called the burden of the burden of a strong Black woman. Just talked really about the need, just how you articulately stated, to give Black women the opportunity to show up how they need to, but also give them space, reprieve, and et cetera. So all of those roles are so important. As we get ready to let you go, though, what's your take on what do we need to do to make sure that we get through this season of tumult? We got multiple pandemics happening. We got the COVID pandemic that is still a big reality. We got the police pandemic, and then we got just regular COVID 45, I call them, you know, the presidential you know, any wisdom to us? How will we make it through these seasons of unrest and challenge?
You know what? When I was working on Just Mercy and learning more about the legal system and the depths of the work that has yet to be done and the work that has already been done, my first thought was, put me in, coach. I'm going to law school. I'm gonna go work for Brian. I'm gonna help change the world. It's time, right? And then I came back to my senses, and I thought, you know, I prayed about it. I was like, you know, how do we do this, right? And what came to me was, no one can do everything, but everybody can do something. What is your something? Yeah. What can you do with what you have, from where you stand, and who you have access to? And I believe that's where the revolution begins, within all of us. And then with the compounding of all the things that you named, it's so important for us to take care of ourselves mentally and emotionally, as well as physically, right? And so if we can find a mental mask to hold on to, we got to do that. Because seeing ourselves killed in the street will never be normal. It will never be okay. It will never not be traumatic. And the levels of trauma that we have survived to get to this point, to experience another level of trauma, is something that we have to acknowledge and embrace and process, because this is a marathon, not a sprint. I believe we are just getting started. You reap what you sow, more than you sow, later than you sow. This is not the reaping. The sowing has happened, but this is not the reaping. This is the rumbling. This is the ground breaking, letting us know that the fruit is coming. And so we have to yet steady ourselves and prepare ourselves so that we can be sustained in this moment to do the work that has to be done. I'm going to leave you with this, Pastor. He who began a good work is faithful to see it through to completion. Right? And so we have to make sure that we are in a space to do the work sustainably in him to completion.
Let me come out, Belle. I feel like she was trying to, you know, candidate for my pulpit or something.
Never.
I can't do your job as good as you just did mine. I just want you to know that now. I mean, come on.
This is what support and love looks like, brother. That's what it looks like. That's all this is.
That part.
This girl preached the whole sermon in 5 minutes. I studied all week long, and I didn't have nothing that good to say last week. I want y'all to know, Karen is
I'm glad we brought you back for a stronger Wi-Fi connection.
I missed you. I missed you, Kamal. What did you say?
I said, I'm glad we brought you back for a stronger Wi-Fi connection.
Amen. Me too.
Thank you so much. I really would love to just stay connected to you and your work. We're going to continue to amplify all the powerful roles. My daughter wants to come say hi. Come say hi to this amazing, stupendous, magnanimous Black woman. I want you to
girl.
This is my baby. Now say hi, Karen.
Oh, hi. Oh my goodness. Hey, beautiful.
All right.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Well, thanks for coming on and hanging out with us. And God bless you and best to you as you keep shaking up the world.
Thank you so much. And you guys too, keep rocking. I'm so proud of you and I'm grateful
All right.
for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Man, she finished with a bang on that one, brother.
Yeah. She had to come back so she could do that.
Yes, indeed. All right. I think we got our good homie Etan Thomas is in the green room, and I want Etan to come on in the room because he is one of the most impactful brothers I know out here that's helping make sense of a lot of the foolishness. There he is. What's up, E?
How you doing, sir? You doing all right?
Yeah, man. We trying to make it through the apocalypse, as we say, huh?
I heard that though. I heard it's a lot going on.
It is a lot going on. Let me read your bio and then I'll hand you over to Kamal. Etan Thomas is more than an athlete. He's redefined himself as the activist athlete. Thomas defies the stereotype of the apolitical athlete, planting his roots in his formidable literary career. He has a passion for mentoring and civic engagement. Born in Harlem, raised in Tulsa, his childhood was surrounded by books on the civil rights movement, politics, and the 1960s. Greatly influenced by his mom, Deborah Thomas, who was a school teacher, who instilled in her sons the gift of critical thinking. Wow. Man, how do you bottle that and sell it and mail it to the White House? I don't know, right?
Mail it to the White House. They need some of that there.
A lot of that stuff. He's made his mark far beyond the boundaries of his 11 years. And he has a book, a number of books that he's pulled out and just athletes and activism. We did a little bit of a talk about that at the MLK event, I think, together.
Right.
And I remember when you first started writing that, we were at the NBA All-Star Games out in New Orleans.
Yeah, we was talking about it.
And so he brought that. I think I was talking about writing a book, Kamal, and he's talking about writing a book, and my book ain't even got a book proposal. He already that's about. But welcome to
How y'all doing, brothers? How y'all doing? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no, glad to have you. Talk to us, man. Tell us what's this moment feeling like?
Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
Oh no, I think it's a special moment. It's a special moment when you see, people from all walks of life that want to speak out and do something. It's interesting because, speaking from an athlete perspective, you see a lot of athletes who are speaking out now. And of course, the topic, as far as today is, Kyrie Irving and Dwight Howard. And it's interesting because I was watching ESPN and I was watching Stephen A. Smith, and he was saying how they look foolish and they're doing this. And I was like, well, why is he criticizing the brothers when he knows where their heart is? You don't have to agree with everything. Yes, of course, there are different ways to be able to make your mark, to make a change and everything like that. But when you call Kareem didn't go to the '68 Olympics, so you gonna call him foolish too? He didn't go. But then you had John Carlos and Tommy Smith that went, and they used their platform there and made a statement that resonates even today. Now, both of them chose different ways, but both of them deserve respect. So I just don't like when you try to criticize, because they're the same people that say, well, how come athletes ain't never saying nothing and never doing anything? And then when you have an athlete that does something, you're saying, well, no, not that way. You're foolish. I'm like, come on now. We ain't got time for that. We don't even have time for being like, okay, why didn't these white people say anything a long time ago? Okay, if they're late to the party, they're here now. Why are we worried about what they did back then? We got bigger fish to fry. That's just me. That's just my opinion, though.
Well, I think that I feel like with Stephen A. Smith, clearly his job, and it's like I like some things he said and some things I don't like he said, but I feel like his job is just to sort of like, how do I keep it stirred up? You know what I'm saying?
No question. I just don't like it when that stirring up comes at a time right now when we need all the voices. We don't need to be discouraging anybody because you don't like the way that they're expressing themselves. They're expressing themselves. You know what I mean? Kyrie has 4 million followers. If he's going to say something, he's going to make some people think in a different way. That's a good thing. That's not a bad thing, even if you disagree with the method that he is going to implement it. I mean, it's just, we got to be more productive. We got to be more forward thinking. So for a lot of people right now, basketball is the last thing that's on their mind. And it's hard for other people to even, imagine that because they just see athletes as only being athletes. Like, wait a minute. You got something else on your mind besides basketball? How's that even possible? Yeah, bro, there's a lot of things going on in society right now. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm sure he has other things on his mind.
I mean, I was shocked to hear Dwight Howard speak up, just because I feel like he's gonna get a phone call from LeBron, like, "Hey, bro, we might win this year."
but like I said, when you have somebody that doesn't typically speak up, I mean, encourage them when they speak up. Don't everybody just try to, because you don't like what I mean, come on now. Dwight hasn't really spoken up about a whole lot of stuff. That's not his thing. So now what? After this, everybody is on him. What, he gonna never speak up again? I mean, it's you gotta just think. You're like, when I am all about encouraging athletes to be able to speak their mind. You know what I mean? That's why I wrote the book, We Matter, Athletes and Activism. I highlighted athletes from the past, athletes from the present, really to encourage athletes to really continue to speaking, because there's a large power and influence that they have. When LeBron says something, people hear it. You know what I mean? Just like when Kyrie says something, they hear it, and he makes people think. That's a good thing. So we need all the allies we can right now.
Go
ahead.
I guess the thing specifically with Kyrie, I mean, it's all complicated, because there's we need to have sports back so people can have something to watch and sort of have a distraction from the news. And the other part is, like, we don't need a distraction from the news.
Right, at all. And that's his whole point. He was like, I want everybody to be focused on what we're focused on. I don't want a distraction. I don't want us to be able to, pan away. All of y'all stop protesting. Let's go see if the Lakers are going to win. He was like, I don't want that. I mean, so yes, you can say, are there ways that he can operate in that attention, and almost like the WNBA did? Okay, yeah, that's a constructive, discussion. Like, yes, you could use your platform right there where you have all the cameras. You could, organize different guys on the team to be able to all, speak to the issues every single time they get in front of the camera, like the WNBA did. Yeah, but don't call him foolish. Don't call it like, you know what I mean? That's a whole different thing. So to get on national TV and call these brothers foolish, come on now. I can't roll with that.
Yeah, well, I definitely feel like it's a through line through I think the work we've seen with athletes, entertainers, when they do step up. And because you've written about this extensively, what are the common traits or characteristics or even reactions that you've seen across decades to athletes who dare to speak out in a time when the country is experiencing this kind of unrest? Like, do you see some things that are similar to when it was with Bill Russell and Ali, and then Jabbar, and
of course. Well, I mean, I had a chance to interview both Bill Russell and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for my book. And they both told me, everybody loved them until they said something that they didn't like. Bill Russell said, the Boston fans loved him, cheered him as he's winning championships. But then he started speaking about racism and segregation. You know what I mean? Then the tone changed.
Wow.
Kareem talked about how he was at a peaceful march after they killed Dr. King. And people were like, well, what are you marching for? Well, he's like, what do you mean, what am I marching for? So he said the same people that told LeBron and KD to shut up and dribble were telling him to shut up, dribble back in the day. And that's the thing. So looking at it even right now, the same lady, Laura Ingraham, who told them to shut up and dribble, was fighting for Drew Brees when he came out and he said, wait a minute, he has a right to his opinion. He is a person. His opinion matters. I was like, wait a minute. You're the same person that told him. So it's really more if they say something that you agree with. Then they'll put you on their platform. Then we love you. Then they'll, come on, Candace Owens, come over to come on our platform and say, come on, Jason Whitlock, you can say, use your platform all the time. But if you say something that they don't agree with, then it's shut up and dribble.
Right.
Stay in your lane. You don't know what you're talking about.
Isn't part of the problem here also, at sort of the base level, is also capitalism is motivating a lot of these decisions, or feels like the NBA kind of can't say we're going to take the year off because of all these sort of business deals that are in place. And also, honestly, a lot of those dudes are making Kyrie money. and they were like, no, I needed that next check, or I need money to keep flowing in. Isn't that also part of the problem that we as a society have set it up on such clay feet that there's no way to sort of like do this in a neat way?
Well, I think that comes from the top. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, the top. But, every time that Trump opens his mouth, he talks about economic reasons of why we need to open up. He doesn't say anything of that it's safer now. He doesn't say that the numbers of coronavirus cases are down, so now it's a little bit safer, so let's phase slowly. No, he doesn't say that. He just says it's time for us to open up so we can get the economy back and the economy and monetary. So when you go to college football, when you go to the NBA, when you go to the MLB, whatever you're talking about, it's all economics. That's it. Yeah. They're not thinking about, because if it wasn't that, then nobody would be talking about opening up because the numbers aren't reflecting that. You see a little dip, you have no idea why, and then all of a sudden you're just going to open everything up. That's not even logical, And then you see the numbers coming back even from Memorial Day weekend, and you see them spiking in every place that was opened up. Red states, mind you, mostly. You know what I mean? So if I was in a red state and I'm a Trump supporter, I'd be like, wait a minute. You're supposed to care about us more. It's like you're trying to throw us out there before anybody else opens up. But the thing is, it's all economically driven. They're trying to boost the economy, so everybody is following suit. But I just hope it's you fear that when the second wave comes, and it's hard not to really feel that there is going to be a second wave because you see how the pattern's going. That they pay attention and say, okay, we made a mistake. Let's close back up. That's what I hope happens. I don't know if that's going to happen.
We better have another president by then, brother. And I tell you this guy, this guy, he ain't playing with a full deck, man.
He's not at all. But he's playing.
In Tulsa, where you're from, that they're making people sign a waiver that if they get COVID at the Trump convention, that they can't sue anybody.
But it's not just Trump with the Trump convention. Well, the college football, the college players are going to have to sign a waiver. They're going to. Yes, they're going that they cannot sue everybody. So people got to remember what Trump does set the precedent for everybody to follow, especially with this topic. You know what I mean? Because I'll even go all the way down to the level because I'm an AAU coach. So I've had AAU tournaments said that we'll have our tournaments in open places, but you have to sign a waiver. Like that's just part of it. But you have people who are signing waivers and going for it. That's the crazy part.
So if you were, I mean, I wanted to ask you about Cap, and the way the NFL made their big retreat. Because I remember you had me on one of the shows with Dave Zarin, I think. Right. When we talking about the whole Cap thing, and to watch the NFL just back moonwalk like they done, and Cap still out the league. Like, what's your take on that? Because remember, bro, that was a big deal, man. Like that thing, like people don't appreciate how hot water like Cap was getting blasted, and the way the SOB comment, man, that has the whole world upside down, and they don't to me feel like they should name Cap personally, like, bro, like we was wrong and we apologize and get that do some reparations or something, man. I don't know.
Well, again, that came straight from the top. That came straight from Trump, and then it just followed suit. And it's amazing when you hear Roger Goodell now, and Roger Goodell made the apology, and everything was cool except he left out one person. He didn't say Kaepernick, the one person that you whiteballed from the league, and you know what I mean. So you can't say. So now Now I just saw a statement a little while ago, and he said that any team that wants to hire Kaepernick, he would encourage them to do so, or something like that. So he just made that. So he's trying. I mean, he's trying to not be the hypocrite because it was so blatantly hypocritical.
That was so messed up, bro. And it was kind of like, I'm from the city, of course, and so I the only 49er jersey I wear is a Colin Kaepernick or a Jerry Rice jersey. I don't buy no more jerseys. And I'm probably gonna be like that to the day I die because I love Cap. I love his social activism. I thought he was a great quarterback for us, took it to the Super Bowl, and we couldn't pull it out. But I still can't understand why none of those teams will sign this guy, and you're just watching these people who suck get signed, and they all have the audacity to claim it's not because of his activism, and then you come back and they don't even have, the part I don't like about white like privilege power, they don't feel like they have to say sorry.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like we just gonna do a change of course and act like we didn't even do anything wrong. It's like, no, man, you guys got to take amends. Like humble yourself and say you was wrong.
But that's what they have been doing, though. Why did you think that it was so vital for them to partner with Jay-Z? And to have Jay-Z specifically say that we're past kneeling and this is not about one man getting a job. That is the language, the specific. No, and I'm not dissing Jay-Z. Everybody loves Jay-Z. Come on, it's Jay-Z. But let's be honest. There's a reason why they picked Jay-Z. They know how we feel about Jay-Z. So for Jay-Z to be sitting next to Roger Goodell at that conference and say that we're past kneeling and it's not about one man getting a job, Roger Goodell didn't have to say that. They had Jay-Z say it. And then they wanted to move forward, on a whole new platform of social change and everything. That was what they. So he's trying to do what, but all you gotta do is open your eyes. It's so it's not even hidden. You don't even have to really look deeply and try to interweave into it's blatant.
Yeah.
The thing to me that felt recently so blatant about it was to hear the NFL sort of embrace Black Lives Matter, embrace, and sort of go, we believe Black Lives Matter, whatever the language was, and at the same time, what about that Washington football team? What do you feel about those lives? What do you feel about native lives? You think you could walk that line of the Washington football team with that name, and yet you're getting right on Black Lives Matter? To me, seems like insanity.
Well, it's interesting looking at all the companies now. I mean, it's like they act like black people just came out. You know what I mean? Like we ain't been here all this time. So all of a sudden they're like, oh, it's black people. So we need to do certain things that we have, and change some of our policies related to black. We're like, we've been here for a while, but okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? That's fine. So first they all started making all the statements. And the statements are cool. You know what I mean? They are right. But after a while, it looked like they all had the same ghostwriter. You know what I mean? Like I was like, okay, so do y'all really, value or really feel that Black lives really matter? Or do you just value Black dollars and Black support? And that I think that's a legitimate question to ask here, because it's like you put the Black Lives Matter on your screen and you're tweeting out and everything like that. That's cool. But I don't know. Starbucks, they were like, okay, no Black Lives Matter. Anything could come in. Then they heard the Black Lives backlash and everything. Then they write on their thing. Okay, Black Lives Matter. Starbucks believe. They had the kente cloth with the. I'm like, okay.
Here's the T-shirt that was sell.
Yeah, I'm like, come on now, y'all. We can see that.
Well, we gonna let you go in a second because we got to get our comrade Cat on the line. But
all good.
What's your sense on just how you feel the leagues and everything are gonna just respond over the long term? I mean, there's a lot of if you just had the COVID stuff by itself, right, and just with all of the complexity of that'd be one thing. But now you have all the kind of racial injustice stuff that is not really allowing people to escape that. Just what's your take on just will sports really ever be the same given all the ways that this is kind of converging, or you think it's just going to kind of find its sea legs in a different way?
I mean, I think for right now, honestly, I don't think that's what we need to even be worried about. I mean, I don't think it's even a logical explanation that you can come up with from a medical standpoint or a coronavirus standpoint, pandemic standpoint, a health standpoint, that you could even make a case of why we would return to sports, any sport, at any level. It doesn't matter. Economically, you can make cases, but from a health standpoint, it doesn't make. So from all the plans, I would say the NBA plan is the best plan of a whole lot of terrible plans. That's the best I can. It was the best plan of all the terrible plans. So college football, right. But you're going to the place that has the highest amount of cases. And so Florida is the worst in the country. So I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, is that really so what are you going to do as they get there? What, you're going to escort them to the bubble and keep them there? Like that, like literally, if you have to look at the cases in Florida, they're astronomical.
Oh yeah, it's rough. Yeah.
So I mean, I like I said, none of it makes logical sense to me.
Well, it's great to have the voice of reason. I'm gonna call Etan the voice of reason for sports on to give us the insight, and we gonna stay connected, keep you in the loop, bro. Because
Definitely.
you know this work you're doing around just continuing to help make sense of the voice of athletes in this moment. Mm-hmm. But you know, as a professional athlete, you kind of know what the experience is like as well. So thanks, man. Thanks for coming through here, and we're gonna have you back. Definitely before these sports leagues start up, and you help us make sense of some of this stuff.
Sounds good. Appreciate it. Much respect to y'all for everything y'all doing here. It's definitely much needed. So much respect to y'all.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Bless.
John Thomas, award-winning author, former NBA player with a number of teams, the Wizards, was the man at Syracuse. Boy, that was a balling brother. You understand? So great to have him on. Well, we're going to have a fiery finish with one of the most, I would say she's one of the most consequential organizers in our era. Kat Brooks, come on in the room. Kat Brooks is organizer extraordinaire, but many, many more things. She's an actress herself. She has stage plays and does all kind of stuff. She hosts her own show in the morning on KPFA. She ran for the mayor of the town, and in many respects was the first. I think you're the first politician to run on a defund the police platform.
Yeah, I just want to, before we I'm gonna turn the mic over to Kat, but I just want to be clear that the first time I heard the words defund the police or abolish the police was from Kat and Turha. And I remember when they said it, I was like, slow down, everybody. I got a job on CNN. Hey, we can talk about this, but get a little social distance from me. And so I just want to be clear that it was through learning that I learned all about that through y'all. And so I had that moment of like, oh, now I get it. So I just want to give you your props. You were way ahead of everybody I know on this and the people who are doing it for clicks now. You're muted.
Yeah, I mean, APTP started the Defund OPD campaign 5 years ago, and to your point, Kamal, folks laughed at us. I mean, literally laughed at us. Those are those crazy fringe radical people, Kat Brooks be talking about F the police and all that. Don't pay attention to her. And we're like, no, really, like, here's the data that shows when you invest in these things, crime goes down, right? You can't bear that same data with maintaining police levels at all. Like, even as crime goes down in cities, is not as a result of police and policing. It's a result of community efforts, like part of what you and your brother, Pastor, were doing. Like, that's what does it. So it's gained traction every year. I mean, to the point where with this last year's budget cycle, Libby Schaaf, the mayor of Oakland, like before we even got on our bandstand, put out a newsletter that said why we can't defund the police, because she knew we were coming, and she knew that through the mayoral campaign, it had gained traction. Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, remember that 43,000 people voted for me as their first place vote in that election, which is more votes than Libby got the first time she won. So clearly this was resonating with Oakland. Right. And so it's wonderful. It's inspiring. It does make me giggle a little bit that here we are now, and it's the rallying cry of not just Oakland, California, but the country. And it gives me hope in this moment that, we may get some wins out of this.
Yeah, take us back down, memory lane though, because a lot of the work that is called Black Lives Matter, has lots of different points of what some of us have been around for a while, name like when did this kind of current iteration of addressing police brutality, misconduct happen? I know for a lot of us, it was Oscar Grant's case here in Oakland. That put this on the map for a lot of us in the Bay. And at that time, I was a continuation school student services person in Berkeley. I had a bunch of kids And so I remember I brought him out to the protest. You know, now we going downtown for the Oscar Grant protest, and so because it's a continuation school. And so I'm like, y'all not going down there without me, because I'll make sure y'all get home. We went down there and it was bananas. And that was the first time I think I saw a militarized tank. And I just was like, or like, them Humvee things. And I just was like, no. I think we walked up Broadway, and I'm like, no, we going back home. I mean, and so of course my next time really being out there was in Ferguson. It wasn't here in Oakland, but you were there. Just give people a sense of what that felt like from the beginning, just because you have been in it from the beginning, like the initial shock of seeing it. And I just love for folks all across the country to just hear your voice, to just help contextualize what you've been seeing the last 10 years with all this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm hearing a lot of people say, this is just the beginning, talking about this particular moment. I'm like, no. This is not the beginning. We're in the middle. Right. I don't know how far we got to get to the end. Right? This is going to be a really long middle. And people need to understand that movements ebb and flow. And we have to, look at all the way from the Panthers. I mean, and how they resisted state terror, and then Rodney King. And then, yes, absolutely, it was the resistance that the town kicked off as a result of the murder of Oscar Grant that, to my mind, and to many people's mind, kicked off this next iteration of organizing across the country. And we did have the military in here during Oscar Grant. People forget that, right? We had alphabet soup in here. We had the CIA, FBI, the DOJ. I mean, you name it. They were here. We had snipers on tops of buildings aiming their rifles at us. Like we used to do the four corner salute before every rally, which is basically we would flip off each.
You ain't calling the four corners.
Every time,
that's a little different. That's a little different than the North Carolina Tar Heel four corners to run out the game.
So it's those were very intense times. And then I did go to Ferguson. I had to take no credit for any of the organizing that happened there. Just was there in solidarity. But one of the things that struck me about Ferguson was that during the Oscar Grant rebellions, that was also the time of Arab Spring. And so you saw people in Egypt literally with signs up that said, "I am Oscar Grant." And then to see the Palestinian activists supporting the Ferguson activists, I was like, yes, right? Because this is the kind of global conversation that we need to be having. And I think it's really important that people understand that this movement that we're in is the culmination of all of that, right? It's the culmination of all of that. And the unseen organizing that happens in between these major uprisings is what propels and prepares us for this moment. It is us continuing to say defund OPD and write papers on it and do media interviews about it and take our licks about it and testify at city council. We say it enough that now, when the time is right, the people can take it, right? The people can take it and they can run with it. And that's when you know that the organizing work is working. Like was this yesterday? I mean, there's been so many protests. I think it was yesterday.
Was it yesterday or a year ago? It's hard to keep track.
Like I got a text. They were like, "They done shut down the Bay Bridge." I was like, "Oh."
Can't even keep up with it anymore, huh?
But it was beautiful. I was like, and I sent a text to the team. I was like, "Do you know how amazing it is that there's this massive action happening on the Bay Bridge and none of us knew anything about it?"
That's right.
That means the movement is growing. That means it's working. That means people are right there in it in a way that I haven't seen before. So I'm really excited about this particular moment, and I hope that we can be collectively smart enough and humble enough and principled enough and disciplined enough to work together to figure out what are the short-term but the long-term gains that we're able to extract from this particular moment in time.
Wow.
And so what does this mean? What does this mean for you in this moment doing this work? Are you are you thinking about running for mayor again? Are you thinking about being the new police chief once we defund the police and there's whatever that's called? Whatever that's called, I don't know what it's called. What does it mean for you?
So for me in this moment, I'm really interested in the local and state policy changes that we can make. So I do think I have faith that even though we may not get the 50% that we're demanding out of OPD this budget cycle, for the first time in 5 years, we're going to get something, right? So that's like my laser focus right now. And when we're talking about defunding the police, we're talking about investing in things that don't require police, right? The data shows that the only way we stop or reduce police killings is to disentangle community from police. So that means we don't need police responding to mental health crisis. We don't need police responding to interpersonal violence. We don't need police responding to substance abuse issues. We don't need police responding to intercommunal violence. And a lot of times we don't even need them responding to natural disasters, right? And so we're working on a bill at the state level called the Crisis Act that would carve out money from the state budget to be able to create pilots across the state to do this kind of work. We launched MH First in Sacramento in January, which is a no law enforcement involved response to mental health, and we're getting ready to launch it in Oakland. So for me, it's about, yes, I'm still in the streets doing the protests, but for me, I'm like, okay, what do we tangibly get out of this that's going to save lives? That's where my focus is at, and that's where the team for the most part is at. Because I think there are conversations that we're able to have in this moment we weren't able to have before. We just weren't able to. And so Terha, the co-founder of Anti-Police Terror Project, who you mentioned, he always talks about extraction. Like, what can you extract from this situation? That's where my mind frame is right now, is extraction. And I don't know, I might run for mayor again. I said I might run for mayor again.
Oh, here we go.
The moment is coming. Does it surprise you how? I mean, I'm answering this question a lot, and I'm not even qualified to answer it. But you said this feels different? Does it surprise you that things have shifted so quickly with defund the police, or did you have a sense that this was coming?
It's the groundswell of it surprises me, but I'm also really clear that the team has done the organizing work that helped make this possible, right? And that's what I was talking about earlier. I was talking to somebody earlier today, and they're like, so when this is finished, then what? I'm like, no, there's no finishing, right? Like, people might go home, the masses might get out of the streets, but organizers committed to this work are going to keep organizing so that we're ready for the next big swell and figure out what we can extract from that. So, I mean, it is mind-blowing a little bit, and I'm not surprised, and I'm not surprised that it's happening in Oakland. I mean, again, with my mayoral campaign, that provided a huge platform for that conversation to happen. I don't know that we'd be here because people had a year to sort of digest, or 6 months to digest the concept and hear me talk about ad nauseum what that could possibly look like. And so I think Oakland was ready for the conversation in a different kind of way.
Yeah, I'm real curious about the way in which how do we make this a popular education campaign as well, right? Because I think a lot of people still hear the words but can't figure out the how. I think what made Minnesota so fascinating was that one day, you had the precinct on fire, and then the next day they're talking about we're gonna, defund the police. I think folks just like, whoa. That one day it's on fire, next day you defunded it. Man, how did that happen? And so in many respects, it felt like Minneapolis became like a very different case study than what we experienced here, where you and Terha and others kept hammering this point home, and it became part of the popular imagination. But in other cities where that expression may not exist, what would you say to folks? How will they help move public opinion? Well, like, maybe just give people a peek behind the curtain of what you guys had to do the last 5 years to move 40-something thousand people to support a vision like this. Because again, 40,000 votes in most cities means that you're the mayor. It definitely means you're a city member, right? So maybe just give people a peek behind what kind of organizing is required to make that go mainstream.
Right. So first, I want to shout out James Birch, who's APTP's director of policy and who actually oversees the Defund project. And so from Get, they were using communication tools, Facebook, Twitter, Insta. They put together graphics that like literally show this much money goes to police and here's what it could fund. They put together graphics that show the data on policing is this, what is this? What else could it do? We are very invested in a robust communication strategy. I'm a comms person by trade. We've intentionally built up our communications team so that we're figuring out what are all the ways in which we can have these conversations, where are all the places that we can have these conversations, and who are all the people we can have these conversations with. And then in partnerships, right? Like creating solid partnerships with other groups. So, because it's not just us that have been saying it, right? So like there's a coalition called the Refund Coalition that comes together each budget cycle. And so we were in that budget demand. So then you had just not APTP saying it, but you had Labor saying it. You just had ACE saying it. You had Ella Baker saying it, right? And so all of those things create a particular framework for being able to have this conversation in multiple places and on multiple levels. But definitely your comms game, and we forget about it as organizers. Often communications becomes the last thing to think about. No, communication is supposed to be with you at the table the whole entire time, because that's how you talk to the people.
That's right.
Mhm.
Talk to the people. Don't forget to talk to people.
Right? You got to that's organizing. Right.
I mean, I think it's funny, like the message of when people go, well, what does defund the police mean? What do I do if somebody breaks into my house? And there's just these talking points that I've seen go around that I know a lot have been either borrowed or credited to you all, of just like, it just means these things. And when you see them laid out, it's like, unless you really are invested in Black people being killed by police, which some people are, it just becomes clear, like, oh yeah, that's better.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
It just seems to be that just to sort of support the thing you're saying about comms. Like when you just see it written out, it's like, well, of course that's what it should be.
Right. Well, and I think it's important too, because we're all, even me, right? And I've been doing this work a long time, and I haven't called the police in a really long time. But even me, when I feel in danger or I see a crisis, my first instinct is to call 911. I don't do it, right, because I've got the stopgap. But all of us, from the age of being very young, we're taught that the cops are the guys that get the kitties out of the tree, and that's who keeps us safe. And if you're in danger, they're going to help you. Even in our communities where we know that that's not the reality, like we know that logically, but we become brainwashed as well. And that's part of why the communications is so important, because we're helping people believe something else is possible. It's why these models are so important, so we can show people that something else is possible, because people do live in a state of fear. Some of it, I believe, is manufactured in order to maintain the status quo. That's probably a whole nother conversation. But people do live in a state of fear, and right now they feel like that is the only alternative they have. And you're asking me to give up the only alternative they have. Like, for real, my next door neighbor, Miss Faye, well, I can't tell her abolish the police right this second, and then tomorrow someone has shot somebody dead in broad daylight outside of her doorstep. But what I can do is connect the dots for her, right, about how if we take some of this money and we start doing these things, it becomes this much less likely that someone's going to be shot outside of your doorstep in broad daylight, right? Because people will have jobs, education, support with trauma, support with mental health. All of these things that we're going to be dealing with, housing. And so I do think, and it's what I'm interested in trying to figure out, I do think there's a transition process. And I haven't quite wrapped my organizer brain around that yet. But like, what does that transition process look like? Like, what do we do? So let's say we get the money, right? And then we build the models. It's going to take a minute for the impact of the models to take effect. And so what is that middle place that the state will definitely try to exploit? Because they see that doesn't work. Like, how do we safeguard against that? And that's the other place my mind is right now.
Well, I definitely think that we're going to have to prepare people for, the inevitable horror stories, like, you send a mental health team out without a law enforcement component and someone gets harmed, and it's like, oh my goodness, that proves it doesn't work, as if, people don't get harmed when you send the cops out. But, it's just like, then we're going to have to really just prepare people that they're going to be growing pains. But the idea that you need lethal violence to secure peace is a faulty premise. And it's so expensive, it doesn't get you to the result that we want. And so, we're here with you and rocking with you all the way. I mean, I think that to your point, this moment, what can we extract from it? What gains can we get? I mean, that's what I keep trying to tell folks. Let's not settle for the reformist position, because that position, if you ever want to default to that position will be here a year from now. But right now, like, we literally have the opportunity to like hand the ball off to somebody, and they could break away and get all the way to the end zone. And like, would you want to be the one to be like, nah, I decided to kneel the football and run the clock out, stuff like that.
And that's, I have to say, and I'm not gonna call her out because I actually have a lot of respect for her, but I'm seeing, some Black electeds who I know come from radical backgrounds, who I would expect to be taking full advantage of this moment, who I would look to take full advantage of this moment, talking about trainings and banning chokeholds and standardizing use of force. I'm like, we've done all this already. What are you talking about? Why? I can't. And then, but also how you know it's working, because it took me a minute, but when the San Jose, San Francisco, and Los Angeles County Police Associations put out their platform.
I saw that. Look, they're better. They're better than the Berkeley police chief who said, because he won't have rubber bullets and tear gas, the only thing he has left is to use firearms and shoot people. And I was saying to myself, and it's hard to get the Berkeley electeds and people to get rid of the chief. I'm like, I've known Greenwood for years. He's not a bad guy. But my thing is for you to sit in a public meeting in this current moment in Berkeley and let those words come out your mouth when in, like you said, San Francisco, LA, San Jose, they're all leading with at least a
But wait, let me finish that thought. I figured it out because I couldn't figure it out, because these are the very same police associations, they're not unions, police associations that fought tooth and nail against the use of force bill, fought tooth and nail against the racial profiling bill, fought tooth and nail about opening up cops' records. And now 2 of the 5 points are about opening up cops' records and use of force. So I was like, what is happening here? I said, oh, you done figured out that they're going to have to start listening to the people. And you don't want us to set your agenda for change. You're like, no, we got it. We got to look here. We got it. We got it. Just give us a minute. That's what that is.
But it's a concession, though. I mean, and we all should take a bow for that, because I do think that even though, to your point, when we were all trying to get the AB 392 bill, like these people, man, were using fear tactics even for that, and that was just that was just what you have to use every conceivable option before you use lethal force, and so
you have to think before you kill somebody.
The ground has shifted for sure. The ground has shifted for sure. What would you say to us? Go ahead.
It hasn't been an accident. Cat Brooks and the people who you're working with, you have shifted the ground. I just want to give you that credit.
Thank you, Mel. Thank you. I appreciate both you brothers. Pastor was like, "You come out with me and come out." I was like, "What?" Yeah.
Oh, come on now. And next time, we pulled this together a little bit late. They have these things scheduled 2 or 3 weeks ahead. But once this defund thing, hit the thing, he's like, well, we're gonna have to do a longer episode and at least get Kat on, and we're gonna bring Terhad on a little later, because I love for us to talk a little bit. The dope thing about Terhad is he have the connection to a lot of the, I won't say original, but like just a lot of the tactical sensibilities of the Panthers, and I think again a lot of people lionize the Panthers, but they don't take seriously the thought and the self-determination kind of ways in which Terhad and others and you all embody, particularly as you guys move around. So want to make sure we get that done. But what are some final thoughts you say to everybody? Because I don't want to keep it too long. We've been talking our jaws off. But what would you say to folks? I mean, just as relates to how to maximize this moment.
Identify what you can extract. Identify what you can extract in the short term, and be thinking like, what can you extract in terms of resources for the long term, and focus on that. Like the protests are important, they're good. We need to keep the pressure on. But for organizers, this is the moment to get some wins. Do not let this moment pass without getting some wins. The state, power never concedes, right? Without demand, and this demand is big, and they're gonna concede something because they want our black asses to go home.
Right. Now, how can people be in touch with APTP or anti-police terror project? I was one of those folks too who I was saying the ATF, the APT. It took me a minute to say it, but the dope thing is people don't have to start from scratch, right? And so how would folks like plug into some of the learning so they don't have to start from scratch? And there are people watching from all across the country, so it would be good for them to get linked in.
For sure. First, I just want to say I regret fighting to name our organization that almost every day of my life. Nobody can say it. And as a comms person, I'm ashamed.
But you were clear. You were clear. Like you the one that got me starting to call police terror. I used to not say that. But then after we got our heads cracked a few times, I was like, no, this is terror. This is terror. Terrifying. What the mess did I got? My cat got me out here. I'm getting my head cracked.
So you can find us at the antipoliceterrorproject.org. We've got some resources on the website, some tools. We also do trainings. And so if people want to get trained in our rapid response model, or you want to have James come, or not come, but Zoom with you to talk about how to do defund, we can do that. We're also on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
How can they donate? How can they donate to keep y'all cooking and smoking?
Go to antipoliceterrorproject.org and click donate, please.
Click donate. Give them all the money you got. Empty out your piggy banks and put your tithe on it. All right, thanks, Cap. We love you.
Love you guys too.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, Kamal. Well, we had a long episode today, but thanks everyone for hanging out with us who hung out with us. Now, Kamal, I know that this gonna probably be your last time hanging out with us regularly because you have some things coming on deck that you gotta get into. You're trying to get the 4-time, you're the 3-time. You're trying to go back to back to back to back.
Yeah, no,
you want to say a word about that?
I mean, even though it seems like I'm already out there a lot, it looks like I might have to start up the publicity machine for United Shades of America. They're going to announce the date soon, I believe.
Okay.
So I will be doing a lot of that, but also I'll be talking about this out there like I always try to, even if they sometimes cut out me talking about it. But generally, I can get it in there. So.
Yes. Well, you've been a great ambassador for us, and so just really appreciate you giving us this Monday time for the last 3 months. It started off with a one-time, hey man, help me do this one time, and then it was such a hit. We came back one more time. I was like, well, let me get a month. Can we get 2? And so the time is going down, but we'll really appreciate you. We're going to be watching you continue to do your great work for United Shades, and you'll pop in from time to time as your schedule.
I'll be back. I promise.
But,
yes.
We really, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, bro, thank you so much. Mask for the People, thank you. Live Free, thank you. You have been a great gift to us, and so let's support W. Kamau Bell. He literally has done this out of the kindness of his heart, his loyalty to the people. It's been just a sacrifice of love, and he says it's not a big deal, but I know that it is something that has been a literal life change for many people. We have put, and I'll put this back up on the screen, Navarro, and try to blow it up real big. We have literally. Can you just make that full screen for everybody? I don't know. We have put all of this PPE on the ground in so many different places across the country. And we started out with $0, and we have raised $1.4 million in less than 3 months. We've put easily 800,000 masks on the ground. I have another 300,000 masks that just got here, sitting right here in our little warehouse area at the church. We put 94,000 bottles on the ground, which equals 500,000 ounces of sanitizer that we've made in-house through Mask for the People, that is now on sale at maskforthepeople.org. 20 cities we've been able to impact. It started as a dream, and it became a reality. So we just want to thank everybody. Thank you, Kamau, for all of your support. And all right, Navarro, cool. We'll come back to the screen. Just stay strong and good luck on United Shades of America, and we'll have you popping in from time to time.
I'll be back, and Mask for the People. That's what we do. This is how I was raised. What my mom showed me to do. So this is what I'm doing. So I'm happy to be a part of this. Honored to be asked to do it, and I'll be back.
All right. Well, God bless everybody. Stay strong. Stay safe. Stay in the streets with your mask on and your sanitizer. Just spray your hands like this whenever you go out to the street. Go buy you your Mask for the People sanitizer. Spray your hands. Stay clean. Put your mask on. You want to come in and say good night? My darling Nyla, she wants to be a star.
All right.
You want to say good night to everybody? Good night. All right. God bless you. Thanks for coming out. Good night.